What you're looking at here is footage from the Lumix S5 Mark 1. And this is Full HD 50 FPS. This is a test footage for a new project that I'm working on. I decided to use this as the example for testing out the Dehancer Pro plugin. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 of my initial use of the Dehancer plugin, you can have a look at those videos on the cards up here. So let's see what we can do with this shot. Having on the timeline here, we're gonna hide the clips for the moment. Let me disable these ones first. I am gonna test the node to see what happens if you just directly drop the Dehancer Pro plugin on one singular node, but that will be for later. For now, let's just reset this. We're gonna add some basic adjustments with using the curves, as I like to do. Bring down, looking at my scopes here for reference. How much I want the shadows, how dark I want the shadows to be. Maybe 96. Fine. Mids here. Let's draw more contrast with the highlights here. Yep. See those highlights at the back. Midtones. Let's bring it not too dark. I think white balance is fine for now. So let's say we're just using curves, and then the second node we're just going to drop our Dehancer plugin right here. So we're going to go and adjust the input to make sure it matches with the S5 footage. So to do that, we'll go up here, we're going to choose camera. We're going to choose Panasonic. Already, it automatically reads the vlog, but we're not shooting on the GH5, we're using the S5 here. Only a very subtle difference, surprisingly. GH5S, GH5. Okay, let's just stick with the S5 for now. Now we're gonna do these adjustments here. As you can see, once it's got the input right, it really stretches out all the colors that we initially had. So let's tone this down a bit. This is a bit much. A little bit too dramatic. Position. Let's make it a little bit warm. Let's turn off some of these tools here, like the film grain. Let's disable it. What else is auto enabled? Only the grain is enabled. I will test the grain out later. What are we going for? We're going for dramatic, but not too dramatic. This is too dark. We don't want to overexpose everything. Let's reset everything first. Not go too wide. Maybe I'll just adjust the curves here. And then go back. Adjust the temperature here. Film. What do we want to use? Which film emulation? Kodak Vision. No. Polaroid, too soft. Chrome. I'd rather have, personal taste, rather have some details seen in the shadows rather than a super contrasty image that loses everything else. Okay, let's go with this. 350D, push a little bit, so slightly to the start, before and after. Ooh, very nice. Contrast boost. Was it disaffected? Ooh. very dramatic. Gamma correction to bring this up so we can see a little bit more in the shadows there. Color separation. I can see the blues being moved. Let's leave it at default for now. Color boost. See how much you can push these colors. Let's leave it at 50. Now let's test disable, enable. Okay, work with the colors that you have to bring out the scene. Off to a good start. Film compression. Do we need this? Let's ignore this because I feel like turning it on softens the highlights. I want the highlights to be a bit more robust in these areas. Expand. Black and white points. I don't think we need this for now. Print. I feel like this is more of an overlay addition to the film emulation that we have up here. I may not need this. I like the colors as we have it for now. The color palette we have in this scene, we have the browns, we have a little bit of the orange here, we have the blacks and the grays. For color head, does it affect much of a difference over here? Sorry, label this. What do I want? Shadow tones. I like a bit more orange. Now let's enable the film grain. I would like 35 ISO. Inhalation, let's try to match this. 35, no ramjet. Amplify. Let's start with 25. See before. Before adding grain. After adding grain. How about blue? Oh, no, film damage. Maybe not. Film breath, gate weave. This is very, now with the halation and these colors, it's very nostalgic. I wonder if we just adjust these tones here. Halation versus bloom. I'm wondering if the noise and the grain sort of clashes with each other. Let's add a note here for noise reduction. Let's put better, temporal 10, spatial luma 20, before and after. That is much cleaner. Now we add back the grain. And that, I think, looks a much cleaner image, even though it's gonna cause the playback to be quite laggy, as you can see here. Well, watching 1 frame per second is gonna take forever. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna render out this footage with the noise reduction node on and another version without it, and see if that makes much of a difference in terms of how much the grain actually affects it. In fact, let me increase the grain to 50. And see how that goes. Overall, I think we do have a very pleasing image. I'm very happy with this one. How soft the colors are. And it really draws out that filmic look that is the whole point of this plugin. So if you think a plugin like this is useful for your future projects, you can use the promo code that I have over here, and you can get a 10% discount for your final purchase. And hope you enjoy. Next, we have a sample footage of a 4K clip from the Lumix S5 using Vlog and some other settings, which I will put on the screen over here. And let's go ahead and do some basic corrections before we add the Dehancer plugin to it. Let's just crush the blacks. This is going to be a sample dramatic footage. Let's see how we can enhance this image to look more film-like. Curves before, after. I think it's good enough. Let's go Dehancer. Boom. Voila. We're going to choose camera again. Panasonic S5. So now it's super crushed. Let's correct that. Again, we'll enable the grain a bit later. I do like, not sure how much of a difference this makes. 65mm, 250. Developer contrast boost. Let's reduce this contrast. Let's take this out. I'd like to see how far this goes. This is looking very, very dramatic. I like it. Camera correction. It's basically bringing down the highlights. How much color separation affects the image? I'm not even sure. But based on the waveform, it's a very subtle difference. Not very obvious. I disable it, it's too dark. I think this ups to, give a bit of a correction so as to save some details in some of the colors, especially on my face here. Not to make it too orange. Film compression. Impact. Small the highlights. Oh wow, okay. This brings down the overall my highlights. But if I raise it up, then it brings more contrast between my head and the backdrop. If you bring it up, then there's less of a separation there. So I think this works better for me. Expand, maybe we don't need this for now. Profile, any interesting effects here? Maybe not. Aha. Shadow tone, I think we can adjust the highlights here. We want the highlights to be a bit more blue. This is a bit too blue, that's too obvious. It feels out of place. You only want it to adjust these things ever so slightly so that it feels part of the image rather than not part of the image, if that makes sense. It really separates the colors on the waveform here. And then we bring it closer together to match it up. Okay, it's leaning towards matching the shadows more towards orange and red It's glowing on my face there. Guess having the highlights a little bit more on the blue, on the blues, complements the orange light that's on my face here. So at minus 9.2 here, I put it at 0. It's a bit more on the orange tinge, orange tones. I'm gonna put it back to blue. Match the sky. Let's see if I'm able to bloom. Super 35, that's just 60. Halation, 65, 65, 70 millimeter. Enable halation. I don't see that much of a difference from the halation, but maybe for bloom, it might make a difference. Zoom in here. Do this subtle glow on my ears, on the rim of my ears there. Put it at 70. 70, disable, enable. Nice. I wouldn't worry about all these unless you specifically want this kind of effect over it. I think we're good for now. Perhaps a vignette. Size of the vignette, feather, aspect ratio. Prefer more of an oval shape. Exposure, darker, brighter, darker. Before and after. Well, probably don't need it, and it still looks good. It definitely slows down the playback as usual, but am I liking this image much better than what we had to start? Well, let's see. Before and after. Before and after. Now, during my initial testing of rendering the footages, the clips with the plugin turned on, it's going to take a while to process it. I'm not sure what the ideal tech specs your computer should have in order to render it out fast. But with so much processing going on in an image like this, it's going to take a while. And I'll let you know how long it will take just to render this piece. So I think that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope you find value in allowing me to walk you through the tools in the Enhancer plugin that will help you enhance the image that you're looking for in your next film project. If you're interested, once again, you can use the promo code in the description box below to get 10% off. And I hope you enjoy using the Enhancer for yourself. Bye.